So one of the videos just recommended to me was from the PJ show, where he does videos based on Sonic. There's no videos on, let's say, Sally and the Freedom Fighters just yet, as far as I know. But he does do videos on other things Sonic related, games, IDW comic, and so on. I'm pretty sure over time he might get into the other aspects of Sonic with the characters like Sally and Bunny and all of them down the line. But one thing he did do recently, about 12 to 13 days ago, was a character analysis on Amy Rose. From basically being passionate to pathetic. Basically, the title of the video was How She Was Amazing and How She Was Demolished. And there is no doubt when you watch this video, and he's divided each of the sections he talks about in the video into chapters, that he brings up some good aspects about Amy. Some things he does kind of, I think, forget about, but he does touch upon them. For example, when he gets to the adventure aspect of Amy, Adventure 1 and 2, he definitely says, or at least alludes to, in my opinion, that that's where Amy Rose, as far as character development goes, peaked. Basically, this is where she really grew and peaked to be a very viable character. But as the years went on and we got games like Sonic Heroes and such, that's when her character kind of started to regress and, as he puts it in the title, potentially be demolished. And that it wouldn't be till later on with the IDW comics and mostly Sonic Forces and, in a sense, Sonic Frontiers and some games in between that she started to kind of get back to the way she was previously, back to an Amy Rose that, yeah, she still had a thing for Sonic, but it was, pretty much mellowed out. In fact, I'm kind of surprised that he didn't acknowledge that the reason Amy's character was like that in IDW is because of what fans have pretty much accused the character of being. Basically a carbon copy of Sally Acorn. Basically saying that Amy is a hybrid of Sally and herself in personality and characteristics. But I do kind of agree with what he's talking about here. I mean, he did bring up that during the downfall, the demolishing portion of her characters, from heroes to riders to Sonic Battle and so on, that basically, from what I can tell from what he's saying, it just felt not right. Like, to him, just based on what he's saying, it felt like a miscommunication between teams. Because you would think if it's almost the same team that was working on these previous games, that there would be some kind of communication. But nope. Apparently there was obviously different story writers that didn't get the memo of, hey, this is how Amy was portrayed in Adventure 2, let's keep that going. Or let's build upon that and everything. But that never happened. And yet, when you get to things like Riders, you get to things like, Lost World, and all that, and even Generations, and Sonic Unleashed, it's like, yeah, her character was kind of in an influx to where it was still kind of going down a little bit, kind of regressing, but trying to build itself back up to what we saw in Adventure 1 and 2. But then again, as I mentioned, when he came to talking about her portrayal in IDW, as well as her portrayal in Frontiers, and to an extent Forces, that's when Amy Rose really started to kind of progress back up to the status she had in Adventure 1 and 2, and really grow from that 10 times more. He even touches upon her portrayal in Boom, which I really like too. I will admit, her portrayal in Boom, that's an Amy Rose I could tolerate 10 times over. The only things he didn't touch upon, believe it or not, was Sonic X's portrayal of Amy and what we got in Prime. Now, I'm pretty sure he didn't do Prime just yet because it's recently new, and we're basically we had just ended the first half of the first season, or at least the first act is over for the initial season. But from what I can tell, in a way, just based on all these alterations of the character throughout in the different worlds, the Amy we're getting in Sonic Prime is a big, vast improvement. In my opinion, it's a big, vast improvement. There's no doubt. And Frontiers really does cement that. I mean, even PJ said that it feels like this is a more mature, aged up, Amy Rose than we had seen before. And that is indeed true. And Ian is a co-writer on the story, not just the main writer, but a co-writer from what I understand. And if there's one thing we can give Ian Flynn, I should say, credit for being a fan himself, is he knows how to basically get characters to, act the way he feels and believes they should. One aspect that PJ didn't touch upon, because again, he hasn't gotten to this yet, is her portrayal in the Archie comics. Now, yes, in the Archie comics for a while, she was still portrayed similar to what you would see in her earlier incarnations, being obsessed and everything and whatnot. But when we got to Ian Flynn's run on the book, along with Evan Stanley's run too, but mostly Ian Flynn's, that's when you started to see an Amy Rose that was growing, that was being mature. I mean, she even acknowledges to a paying Patreon customer, if you will, they came out of the restaurant following Sonic and Sally in 222. She even told him, look, one day Sonic will be hers. She still truly believes that, but if being with Sally is what makes him happy right now, then so be it. In other words, she basically is saying, look, all that matters to her is Sonic being happy, and if being with someone that is basically kind of like a major, unattainable obstacle for her to probably not be able to overcome, and Sally being, what makes Sonic happy, then that's all that's necessary for her to be happy for him. And I like that little moment there with Amy in the book, because it shows that, yeah, she still loves Sonic, she still has these feelings for him, but she's matured enough, even when Ian was writing for Archie Comics, that she is acceptable. She is acceptable of Sonic wanting to be with someone else. And, that is a fact. I mean, yeah, did they kind of tease, maybe her falling back on that in 175? Yeah. Yeah, they did. They kind of did tease that. There's no doubt about that. Well, not 175, but what was it, 173, I think? Did they tease that a little bit? Absolutely. Absolutely, they did tease that. I think it was 173 or 174, one of them. But yeah, they did tease that. They did tease that in 173 with her, when Antoine proposed to Bunny. Yeah, with her kind of nudging on Sonic, going like, does it give you any ideas? And Sonic's like, not in the slightest. Yeah, it was a bit of a return to what she was before, but still, that was part of her progression over time, to become a more mature, balanced out character, which a lot of us pretty much appreciate, no doubt. In fact, probably the biggest example of that, and this is where I got to give credit to the damn story, is where she went with Sonic and Tails to try to rescue Sally when Sally was Mecha Sally. Did she go with Sonic because, she's obsessed with him and, right in front of the princess, she wants to, make it show that the fact that, hey, Sonic's going to down choose me because you made a mistake and allowed this to happen to you? No. Amy's biggest mature, growing up, aged up moment came with her basically saying, I'm not doing this to prove my love to Sonic and then show off in front of the princess that, hey, he's going to choose me now. No. She did it because she wanted to save her friend. That's what she wanted to do. She wanted to save her friend from a fate worse than death. She wanted to save her and help find a way to restore her. That is the one big credit I will give that, in frustrating story. That's one credit I will give them when it comes to any characters really growing from it. Amy Rose. So to me, if PJ needs to have any more proof of her growth happening under the certain right penmanship of people like Evan Stanley and Ian Flynn and so on, then all he has to do is look at the Mecha Sally arc, if he dares to do it, and see how much she's grown there. And even I include 222 as another example. And even when we got the soft retcon, the reboot, hard reboot, whatever you want to call it later on, that was an Amy Rose that wasn't as obsessive at all with Sonic. She was more focused on being a freedom fighter, and guess what? She was looked at by Sally like one of her BFFs. So to me, right there, that is perfect character developing for someone that was once looked at as being obsessed with the hero himself and only focusing on, hey, I'm going to make that person mine. You know, at least we got decent character development out of that for the character in Archie comics way before IDW comics. And yeah, IDW took what we saw in those portions, in those portions of the Archie book, and basically improved on it, built upon it 10 times more, while still keeping a little bit of that Amy infatuation with Sonic in there, but to a lesser extent. Which is why a lot of people say that she feels like a hybrid combination of Sally and herself in one body. Which some would say is basically parodying and basically taking a shot at the Sally fans, and some would say it's a compliment. Some would say it's a compliment, and I do agree in a way it is a compliment. There's no doubt about that. But yeah, I understand, by watching the video, and he did a great job with it, where PJ is coming from, where, she started out strong, during her early runs, especially during Adventure 1 and 2, and how she dropped off starting with Heroes and so on, and started to go into an influx later on when it came to certain other later games, but then finally kind of grew thanks to the IDW books and basically Sonic Forces and Frontiers and so on, and even Boom and potentially Prime. So I agree with him. I agree with him that basically, her progressing and then degressing and then kind of building herself back up as a character thanks to different kinds of writing and storytelling and all that, I will admit was quite the journey. It was quite the journey. I'm not denying that. But what do you guys think? What are your thoughts on what PJ had to say in his character analysis of Amy from passionate to pathetic, basically from progressing, degressing, and building back up? What are your thoughts on it? And what do you have to say about my kind of contribution to the video, in my reply to the video here? What are your thoughts on it? Let me know down below in the comment section below. Live chat during the premiere. Like the video. Check me out at BW Rose's Discussions, where you will get an audio podcast version of this as well. But let me know what your thoughts are, guys. And until then, I'm out.